Welcome to today's episode where we dive deeper into yelling. Are you a good enough mom if you yell sometimes? I do believe yes, and let me share why I do believe that. And then I'm going to tell you also so much more about all the bullshit that we are fed and are not truths. And actually, they are the reason why we feel not good enough. They are the reason why we feel like we are doing something wrong, we are broken, we have anger management issues, etc. Not the fact that sometimes you are raising your voice or losing your shit. And then I'll also dive deeper into how to yell less because yes, we can learn a lot of the techniques of the tools. And I'm also going a little bit deeper into how quick that change actually can be when we can identify the trigger. So with this episode, I really want to help you to first see the yelling a little bit from a different angle to understand what's happening in your body, what's happening in your nervous system, and really then later on, really like helping you, giving you exercises, tools, so you are going to be able to yell less and really manage that bursting anger that's coming up in you. But let me start here first. The goal is not to never ever yell again. The goal is not to never ever raise your voice again. And let me take a moment here because this one is so important. When you see the different type of parenting, programs and type of trainings that they try to sell to you, and they literally stop yelling. Really? My professional advice and my personal advice and opinion here as, a mom and a mom coach is like if you want to stop yelling, then change who you are completely or just get rid of your kids. Sorry, not sorry. That is my opinion. So, as a disclaimer first, I am not suggesting in any way that yelling is good. Oh yeah, yell more, even more, just shout out and your kids are going to learn amazing things from how amazing shouting and yelling is. I'm not suggesting that you should yell more or you should not work on yourself or emotional management, but what I see when it's really coming from this mainstream, like coming from parenting trainings and different type of ads also into my face, by the way, like stop yelling. And there is one specific app particularly, I now don't remember the name, sorry, but it's not even to calling them out specifically. It's more about what they are selling. And they came up on my feed, and what they are selling is exactly that, like making you feel so fucking guilty and ashamed for being a human and having human reactions. Like, I don't remember the specifics, and I even don't want to spend more time on this, but it was more specifically calling out parents on you are a bad parent if you leave your child and you need a moment in the other room to handle your own emotions. Like this one, I specifically remember because it literally like pissed me off as fuck. Like, what the hell? So, what I want with this episode, and it can be that today's episode is going to be a tiny bit longer than my usual ones, because I really think that there is so much misunderstanding here that we have to clear up. And I want to share more about what is behind, why it's not you who the problem is, most probably, why you feel like even when you try, you end up yelling. What's happening in your nervous system? What is happening there? And also, I want to go a little bit deeper into the tools and tips I can give you so you can actually like feel relieved and then what to do about this whole situation, how to yell less. So, the goal, as I repeat myself, the goal is not to stop yelling and never ever yell or raise your voice again. The goal actually here is that you yell less, less frequent, because you learn how to manage your own emotions. You learn what are the triggers for you, And therefore, we can also work on those. So you yell less. The second is that you decrease the intensity. So it's not like it's boiling and taking over and literally feels like you have no control over that without the brake. You are just going down the hill and you exploding in a way that then you always regret what you said and what happened. Like, definitely we can work on that too. And the third is how you regulate yourself, how quick you can come back to neutral when you already yelled, when you already had that outburst of anger, how quick you can come back to neutral, how quick you can just regulate yourself first. And then what do you do right after? Like, that is already breaking the cycle. That is breaking generational patterns when you say to your kid, like, I'm so sorry. I didn't want to yell. I really lost it. I'm so sorry. I'm so tired today. I'm so sorry, but I told you 20 times, but it was still not right to yell like this. What do you say afterwards? That part, how you apologize and what you do after, I really rather leave it up to the parenting coaches and parenting advisors, but I'm sure that you heard of that. I just wanted to mention it here, yet that matters, yes. But first, I want to now focus on you. I want to focus on you, what's really happening in you, why yelling is happening, why it can feel like whatever you do, it just keeps coming back. And I want you to really have the tools then being a human and still working on that, how to yell less. And I really wanted to take a whole episode, and even maybe we need more episodes, because this one is really a complex thing. And I wanted to take the time to really clear up some misunderstanding and really give the time to also answer some of the questions that I so many times get, because what I see is this black and white thinking and then shaming yourself and then feeling guilty when you yelled, when you raise your voice. And it seems like there are the ones who say like, oh, never ever yell with your kid. Like, you have to learn anger management, you have to learn how to manage your emotions, and you never ever can just raise your voice with the kid, while the others are saying like, no, it's just not impossible. uh, they are terrible monsters who are just pissing me off all the time, and that's just not possible. So I do believe that the truth is really in the middle. Like, you can definitely learn techniques and tools how to regulate yourself, how to really manage your own anger and frustration, but you are also a human being, and we are going to talk about this because you are a human being with finite capacity, limits, a nervous system which can be override. So don't expect from yourself the impossible neither. Okay? So let's jump in. Why this whole anger burst, outburst, like yelling is happening? So I'm not talking about like when something is immediate danger, like you see your kid running towards the road, towards the cars, and then you are yelling as to have the attention to stop them. Like, we can all agree on that. That's happening, and that's a good thing because you want your kids to be alive and stay alive. It's rather more of the type of anger outburst and frustration outburst that's really coming from this boiling anger, whatever was the trigger for you. And it's very important actually to know the triggers, because the easier we can change that, the easier we can change how you respond to that. But it can be because, your kids are fighting. It can be the constant nagging. It can be the tantrum, the whining, like knowing what are the triggers, and then that is building up the frustration, the anger in you, and then it just happens. Like, I told you 20 times, and now it's really bursting out from you, and the anger is really bursting out from you. As I said, I'm not encouraging you to yell more, to shout more, because it's so fun, but I want you to see that when you are yelling, when you are losing your shit, that is a stress response from your body. Like you normally don't shout in the morning when you had a beautiful sleep, everybody is eating their breakfast, everything is beautiful and ideal, and you are just starting yelling. This isn't happening that way, right? Most of the time, how it happens, it is just adding up, adding up, adding up, and then when it reaches the limit, then you just lose it. So it's also very important to see that it is a stress response from your body because you are like your brain is actually experiencing it as a constant, like literally attack. Like your brain is attacked. For example, my brain definitely feels like an attack of the noise. I'm noise sensitive. So I remember how the baby cry was literally like painful for me. And then obviously I had the ways to soothe them and then to help them. And I was not even that angry because I felt like I had that baby factor in kind of how cute they are. But then how they were growing and the tantrums came and now the talk back is on. Like my nervous system is getting overstimulated by the noise and then the talk back and the questions and the nagging, and it just come and it builds up, builds up, builds up, builds up. And then it happens, yes, that I also lose my shit. It happens that I raise my voice. Yes, it happens that I yell at my kids. And if you think that we should not and nobody should yell ever at their kids, you're very welcome to stop this episode and don't listen further because I will not tell you how not to yell ever again to your kids. Because, yes, the goal is to yell less. The goal is to manage our own emotions, but the goal is not to be inhuman. The goal is not to have again a very much impossible standard and expectation in front of us where we can just again feel like, "Oh, okay, good. I'm just failing at this one too." So, as I said, why this yelling, why this outburst is happening is because this piled up. So what you need to understand about this whole situation, how you react in these heated situations, how the anger outbursts, how the yelling, how the shouting happens, is that it very much depends on who you are too. You matter too in this whole scenario. Two things about you. First of all, who you are. Your temperament, your personality, who you are as a person, that matters because this is what you bring into this picture. And also your state. Your state matters. And I'm going to dive into that one deeper later on because that is key. So when I say your temperament, your personality, I have, for example, a friend who have been always this calmer person. Like she obviously has intense feelings like all other humans have, but she never was this type of arguments, conflicts, big shouting type of girl. On the other hand, I was. And it's not about hiding behind something. You are now hiding. Oh, it's just my personality, so I can yell however the fuck I want. This is not that. It's simply that yes, it matters. It matters how you show up. It matters whether you are a louder one or not, a calmer one or not. Definitely. The feelings and how we respond, we can work on that. And I'm going also to tell you more about those in this very episode. But just take a moment and just embrace who you are. And then that is the baseline where we are coming from. So don't compare yourself, for example, to another mama who seems to be the Dalai Lama, who is just so calm, because we never know what's behind the scenes. You don't, nobody knows. Maybe you had a horrible birth. Maybe you had postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression. Maybe the first few months you didn't have any support and you really reached your limit, like enough is enough is enough. Like, don't compare yourself ever. You, your personality, and also your state matters. So let's go because now we know why it happens. It just piled up. Your nervous system is literally fried. Your brain felt like attacked by those triggers, and now you're just outbursting. And then it feels like you cannot control that. So I'm going to tell you now the two ways you can actually yell less, the two ways that I can help you with exact tools, how to work on that. And then we go deeper into what is really behind, what is also a key component to really pay attention to. And then you are going to see the whole picture as one, like, oh, yes, Esther, now I understand. So the number one way that I help my clients also to deal with tantrums or in a heated situation, so you really react the way you want and not in a very fired up reaction way, which is like yelling your kid's head off. It's very important to see like what is happening in that situation. So the best way you can stop yourself from exploding, it's creating the distance between you and the heated situation. And I don't want to spend more time with the exact steps how you can do that because I already created a free training for this. If you go to my website, esterbisabow.com, right on the homepage, and I'm also going to put the link into the show notes, there is this free training. It's actually a 6 minutes training plus a PDF helping you how you can create the distance between you and this situation, which is going to help you to not get sucked into that spiral. You're going to have this distance so you see what is happening, what your toddler is struggling with. You can like describe the scene, what is happening, and that distance is going to help you to regulate your own emotions so you cannot be sucked into that spiral. So had to, after listening to this, and it's going to be in the show notes, head to my website, esterbisabow.com, and you are going to get that training for free. The second way of really like having this control and power over your emotions and how you react in a certain emotion is the best way to do that is rewiring your brain. Because when we respond in a certain way, when we think in a certain way, when we react in a certain way, that way becomes the habit. That is the habituated pattern for the brain to react to. So think about what are the triggers for you. Maybe it's always in the morning, like I'm just losing my shit when we start. When we would like to go to the nursery, to the kindergarten, to school, they are just not listening. They are just not taking their shoes. Like, what is it that it's a trigger for you that it keeps coming back? Because you see it's a pattern when you're losing your shit around the same things over and over again. When they are not listening, when they are not putting on their shoes, when they don't want to wash their teeth. Like, what exactly are the triggers for you? And when you respond the same way, like with yelling, with you losing your shit, that creates a habit in your brain. That is a habituated neural pathway already. This is where your brains go to. Oh, yeah, this is how we respond in this situation. And that is what change sessions are for, that we are rewiring your brain. So the trigger comes, but we rewire that. So now your brain has a new neural pathway to go to, and you can respond in a more calm, in a more empowered, in a more confident, whichever you choose way, instead of the original reaction, which was anger, outburst, and losing your shit. And that is the way that actually, like the best and fastest way of change to release this, like, which feels now a vicious circle that whatever you do, it feels out of control because you just yell and then you feel guilty. And then the trigger comes and then you just yell and feel guilty. Like the way we can literally break this vicious circle is identifying what are the triggers And then we can rewire your brain for those triggers and have different reactions. So now check in with yourself. What are the triggers for you? What is it that, oh, I always lose my shit then? Oh, that really pisses me off as fuck. What are those triggers for you? So as a tools, right away, what I can give you now, which kind of as a first aid, like how to release that stress when you already feel in your body that's coming up. If it's not way too intense, so listen closely because we are humans. So if it is not way too intense, then I highly recommend to focus on your breathing. It's like not, oh yeah, well, thank you, Esther. Really, like focus on your breathing, visualizing that you are taking a long, long, long breath in, up, really down to your belly. And then slowly twice as long, releasing and then breathing out. You are with this breathing technique that you are focusing on your breathing, you take it slowly, and then you focus on an even slower, twice as long breath out. You are regulating your own nervous system so you don't lose your shit. If in case the intensity is way too much, like you literally feel your body shaking, you feel the anger building up, and it really is like swirling already. And like you don't even want to think about breath work or like what the fuck is that? It's like leave me. Don't even talk about breathing now. And you already have the red head, then in that case, the best way to release that stress out of your body is really shake it. Like, I mean it, literally shake your body. If you want to see how I'm doing it, then go to my YouTube channel. But literally shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. But like you mean it, your whole body. And then you are literally shaking off the stress. So again, this technique is focusing on you, on releasing the stress from your body first. And now I want to tell you something like behind the scenes secret type of thing. And it's going to be like, oh my God, now I understand. So it's very funny story actually. But when I did my unconscious rewiring hypnotherapy certification, and I started to offer change sessions, then it was actually very interesting that most of the women who wanted to have a change session with me, most of them actually found me to help them with anger management. I want to yell less. I want to yell less at my kids. I want to just really manage my anger better. And the interesting thing is when I also experimented on myself, I also asked my colleagues to help me rewire certain triggers in my brain. And then I was also working with my clients on this. And there was a very interesting pattern that I realized. What happened is some of the moms were, they just had 2 sessions with me and they reported like, oh my God, it's magic. I really don't feel that intense anger anymore boiling in my stomach. Like it is insane. And I can use the techniques you taught me and it really is helping. While some of the other moms were coming back like, I don't know, maybe there is something wrong with me, but it is not working. I still feel the anger. I still feel like I maybe it's less intense, but I still feel the anger boiling in me. So what was the difference? And then what was common? So what I learned after working with many different type of moms, stay-at-home mom, working mom, and their triggers were also different. What I learned is that what was common, like what mattered most, like what was common in those moms who apparently and reported like they could not find themselves so calm as we wired that into their brains, is that they didn't have the connection yet to those tools, to that calmness, because they didn't have the time for themselves to recharge. So, what was common is they were doing everything by themselves with close to zero support. They didn't have recharge time regularly in their lives. They were exhausted and they didn't have the self time, the recharge time to come back to a state where they could have like really connected with those tools and parts of their brain that we were working on. So listen to me closely because this is really one of the most important thing I can tell you in this episode. And if you only take this away, your life is going to change and you are going to beat yourself up less. Your state is the key. They say happy mom, happy baby. Yes, but that's also your anger doesn't come from you are an angry mom, you are an angry person, you have anger management issues. Every single time, I could really like explore underneath more how she was neglecting herself, how she was fucking tired and exhausted, and then her nervous system was overstimulated and overfried. Then she expected from herself to stay calm 100% of the time. And then when she couldn't manage it, then she felt guilty and shit and like beating herself up even for that. So hear me well. Your state matters, how you can actually yell less. Because yelling, like that outburst of anger, is a stress response from your brain. Your brain telling that I have had enough, I'm fed up. That is what your brain is telling. So listen closely when I say self time and recharging regularly is not luxury. It's not something that you can have when you finally deserve it or whatever. That is key, essential, because when you are in that state, that you slept, you ate, you had a little bit of self time to yourself. What it actually matters too is that you are in that state, that you can use the tools to regulate your emotions. You can use the tools to be more present, to release the stress, to deal with whatever is coming up as a challenge throughout the day or the days. Your state matters. So I really felt sorry, I just really felt called to share this because I've seen this over and over again. I was also personally accused for like, oh yeah, but you are also yelling with your kids. And like, yeah, I really truly believe that if you have kids, you're going to raise your voice because they are just not listening, which is also a very normal, let me assure you, a very normal way of being a kid because their brain is not developed yet. They can literally be so sucked up into what they are doing, coloring or toys and games, that it's not that they don't want to listen to you, but they literally filter you out and they're not hearing you. And that can be frustrating when you want to leave the house and you ask them to do something for like 20 times. So, yes, 100%. I'm up for those little tips and tricks, what parenting advice we can get, how to really get down and look into their eyes and validate them and ask them like when you have that eye contact, etc., etc. And then when you yelled, don't forget, it's not like you are the shittiest mom on this earth. You can still regulate your nervous system. You can still regulate your own emotions and then say like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, honey. That matters too. So with this episode, I really wanted to make you feel relieved. And I 100% believe that we are good enough moms even if we yell sometimes, because that means that we are overloaded, we are overstimulated. We asked 20 times, we are overstimulated, we lost our shit, and that happens. We can make mistakes. I really do believe that we are good moms just because we yell sometimes. But yes, it's also an encouraging episode for you that there are ways to yell less. There are ways to actually release the stress, release the frustration. So, as a summary, I highly recommend that you go to my website and download that free training, which is going to teach you the 5 steps how you can stay calm, how you can create that distance I mentioned in that heated situation. And then when you feel already the intensity of the feelings coming up and boiling in your body, don't forget that you have always breath work. You can always focus on your breathing to regulate your nervous system. And there's also like when it's so intense in your body, then shake it off. Just shake it off. It's my honor to talk to you today. It was my honor again. I'm so happy that you are here and you're listening to me. And then don't forget, you are an amazing mom doing your best, and we are just humans, and that's okay too. Talk to you next time. Bye.